Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, dear Sky. How's it going? It's your boy, one and only, the leader of Sky Eroktic, and today we're gonna talk about thermal isolation. When are you using it? How to recover it? What about the stamina pool? How big it is? What is consuming stamina? We're gonna talk about everything, okay? Disclaimer right on the beginning of the video: if you're watching this video in 2076, I'm sorry, this video is based on the gameplay of 3 gameplay videos that they have released so far. The game is not out yet, so all of this data that is in this video is subject to change. That is based around the gameplay that they have shown. So without any further ado, let's start, dude. Let's start. Before we dive into it, I just want to point out that the oldest gameplay video had completely different UI. Before, there was the HP with a red on the bottom left, and the sprint bar was directly in the middle when you were consuming stamina. Right here, you see? Now that is not the case anymore. They changed it, like I said, and we do not know if they're gonna change the UI again, so maybe when we are gonna play the game, the UI is gonna look even different, but that's not the point. It doesn't matter. Because the only thing that matters is understanding how features, how gameplay mechanics, how game mechanics work. With that said, on the bottom left, you can see pretty much everything that you need to know about the status of your character. You have thermal isolation, you have hunger, hydration, health, and the stamina. This blue line underneath the HP, that is the new stamina bar. We're gonna talk about every single one of those, and we're gonna start from the beginning: thermal isolation. So right on the beginning in this video, you can see that thermal isolation is full. As soon as he exits out of the car, the thermal isolation starts to go down, which means when you are standing outside, the thermal isolation is gonna slowly deplete. This is him being outside even more. You can see like it is slowly depleting constantly. And as soon as he enters inside of the indoors, the thermal isolation starts to regen. And it doesn't matter if the electricity is on or off. It really doesn't matter. So entering in any kind of indoors, like houses, even the vehicles, even when he enters inside of the vehicle, again, you can see like his thermal isolation goes down again, and he enters inside of the vehicle, he starts to warm up. Which means you will not be able to camp outside 24/7. You're gonna actually need to find some kind of a heat source. The another thing that you should know about the thermal isolation is that the thermal isolation depleting depends on the weather, which means if we can open the first video when there was a snowstorm that was happening, and when he was running, the thermal isolation was going down much faster than on the beginning of the video, which means when there is gonna be some kind of snowstorms, nighttime, you're gonna kind of have to visit the indoors much more often than on clear weathers, when it's sunny, of course. Before we even go any further, I just want to point out that this first footage, you can see that there was no thermal isolation regen when he was driving inside of the vehicle. He starts the playthrough and it just does not want to refill all the way up. I think that's just really early access, and that thermal isolation regen in the vehicle was not the thing back in the days, but in the newest playthrough, that is definitely the thing, because it is goddamn obvious that it is regening. So how to isolate yourself as best as possible to protect yourself from the cold weather? Yes, you guessed it, body and legs. I'm not gonna dive way too deep into the inventory. I'm gonna talk about all of that in the future videos, but let's focus only on the thermal isolation right now. You have 3 different slots. You have head, body, and legs. With equipping things on your body and on the legs is gonna give you more thermal isolation. Pretty straightforward, and it is gonna be default. Now here is one of the theories that I have that are completely logical, and it might be the thing. So you have 2 different slots for the armor. You have chest armor and you have head armor. Like helmets are gonna go on the same slot like this hat that he has. And in the first video, right on the first loot container that he looted, you can see that he had the winter hat. So maybe there is gonna be some kind of a mechanic where you kind of have to pick and choose. Do you wanna wear armor to protect your head, or do you wanna wear a winter hat to protect yourself from the cold? So maybe in some of the situations, probably, in some of the situations, you're gonna be forced to wear a winter hat because of the cold. Next on the list we have hunger and hydration. Pretty straightforward, generic survival. We haven't seen the character eating so far, but we have seen him drinking. And you're not gonna have to eat and drink every 30 seconds in the game. In the first video, we can see the character drinking, and he recovered 60% with 1 can of Coke. So, look at this. Boop! Full. It's pretty straightforward. The only thing that I have to say is that food and hunger does not decay that fast, and it is really easy to refill it with 1 simple can of soda. So let's talk about the HP. The first and the most important thing about the HP is that you are passively regenerating health. Right here, he's gonna take 1 hit from the zombie, and now look at this. He's not gonna take any damage down the line, and he's just slowly regenerating. You see this? He just slowly regened all of that HP. So in what? In almost 8 minutes, he regened like, what, 12% of the HP, something like that? 8 minutes, 12%, so you're pretty much regenning more than like 1.5% of the HP every minute, something like that. And the last on the list, we have the stamina. Now, during this whole playthrough, he was not sprinting at all. I do not know why, he was chill as hell. But right here, this is the second playthrough, he was sprinting, and you can see that the stamina bar is going down. But look at how quick it is refilling. Did you caught that? Look how quick it is refilling. It's insane. Like, you will be able to play, like, the whole playthrough, the whole gameplay looks really like, you know, tactical and slow and this and that. But I think that this game is gonna be a little bit faster pace than we are thinking. Just because of this insanely fast stamina pool. Now, we do not know if this is the case just because it is scripted. I really hope that it is not, because you will be able to sprint like constantly in this game. One more thing about sprinting is that in the first video, when he's vaulting over, there is also vaulting mechanic in the game. He's not consuming any stamina. Even in the old, maybe you will be consume stamina and vaulting, but as far as we know, so far, vaulting does not consume stamina. He's approaching. Nothing. Stamina bar untouched. And you can see that even recharge on the older version of the game, it was pretty quick. Like, he was sprinting and it was full instantly, you know? But yeah, that is pretty much it. I think we covered everything about those things. There is a lot of things that I want to talk about, so please make sure to subscribe with the notifications on, because I will be creating even more videos with this type of a content. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys learned something new, and see you in the next one. Eroktic, out.